Hello, Fox Fairy, where I talk about marginalized subjects from a marginalized viewpoint, while I learn to draw. Hello, welcome to the series Discourse Academy. In the next few videos, I'm going to be breaking down the individual exclusionist opinion bases, talking about their beliefs, reasonings, histories, presents, and wrapping it all into a nice little gift for you. Alright then, let's get started. Today we'll be covering the opinion base, the gravity knife gay community. What is a gravity knife gay, and what do they believe? A gravity knife gay is a gay man who believes that gay is an identity label that should only be used for exclusively homosexual men, that women are lesbian, not gay, NBN cannot be gay, bisexuals cannot be gay, and the umbrellification of monosexual labels is erasure. So they disagree with ideas like she/her gays or they/them gays, assuming that pronouns equal gender. You must be a man who is exclusively attracted to other men to be gay under the gravity knife gay definition. Why do they believe this? 1. Erasure of gay men is a problem. It's impossible to find non-sexual gay spaces catered to our specific experiences, ones that don't include bisexual men, ones that don't include the entire community. This is due to the lack of language to identify such, because the only term historically and commonly used for us has been umbrellified. Gay has always meant to refer to homosexual men. That was the first term other than homosexual man that we had. Even then, saying gay man implies bisexual men are included if you're talking about an external space outside of discourse, because oftentimes the only thing that people use to identify what a gay man is whether or not they're attracted to men, not whether or not they're attracted to women or NBN. So finding people with the same experience is difficult, and finding spaces catered to that experience is also very difficult. 2. Using the label gay when not meeting the requirements is a homophobic microaggression rooted in the patriarchal desire to cover up gay men. In this case, by hiding them behind the entire community or other identities. Since the beginning of time, in patriarchal societies, it's been a point to hide gay men, because gay men don't meet the patriarchal definition of what it means to be a man. Gay men don't reap the benefits of being a man in a patriarchy because they get their manness stripped away because they're attracted to men, which is seen as a feminine trait, because the patriarchy treats women as property and men as owners, and when a man submits himself to another man, it reduces him to being the property, and it breaks their entire system. So oftentimes in a patriarchal society, they will completely silence or banish all ideas of gay men existing in their space. We see this reflected inside of the LGBT community as well, as a microaggression. It's just an example of internalized homophobia directed at gay men, with another era of added oppression, making people feel like it's okay to apply these microaggressions to gay men, because since they're men, it just seems like nothing can be harmful to them, because their gender isn't oppressed, even though we lose most of the benefits that come from having our gender because we are homosexual. Number 3. The community is called the LGBT community. It's not called the LVBT community, the lesbian, Vinkian, bisexual, trans community. It's not called the LHMB community, the lesbian, homosexual, man, bi, trans community. It's the LGBT community. By umbrellifying the G in that acronym, you're just putting another air of making us just as visible in the acronym as a demi-boy, technically falling under one of the letters, but not specifically being outlined, which is especially bad because we were the foundation for the community. The LGBT community started with the gay rights movement and the gay and lesbian liberation movements. But since we had to give up our identity to support other people in the past, now we're held to that in these times. That's not exactly fair, is it? it's just another case of erasure, how we only exist in our own acronym by innuendo. What is the history of the Gravity Knife Gay community? After doing a lot of research, it still isn't quite clear, but I will tell you what I have been capable of finding. Unable to locate the exact origins of the community, my guess is it was created as a counterpart to the longsword lesbian community, either by Missy X13 on Twitter or by Fork Course on Instagram, or possibly by Discourse Soda on Tumblr. The common flag, which I'll be putting up on screen, the blue one, was made by Fork Course on Instagram with this symbol to identify Gravity Knife Gay identities. I was able to isolate this through searching through Twitter, looking up Gravity Knife Gay. That was all I found. After a look around on Twitter, the terms Warhammer Gay, Guillotine Gay, and Glock Gay seem to have also been used historically. Discourse Soda on Tumblr made the Warhammer flag, and I located them by going onto the LGBTQIA wiki, going to their Warhammer Gay flag, and putting the image link through the Wayback Machine, where I found on Tumblr their account, where they had made a post designing several flags, one for the Battle Axe Bisexual flag, one for the Longsword Lesbian flag, and one for the Gravity Knife Gay flag, but they were referencing it as the Warhammer Gay flag, which I assume probably came about first. What did the LGBT wikis have to say? The LGBTQIA wiki and the LGBT fandom both outline Gravity Knife Gays as some sort of hate group, despite being completely harmless and having a complete lack of extremist actions or harassment from the community. They have no sources for any of the claims they make regarding us being a hate group or regarding any of our beliefs or any of our origins, nor the flag's creators. They do not provide any credit to the people who created the flags, and I'm pretty sure they pulled the Sunrise Gay flag from out of their ass, because I was unable to find it. So, using this information, my guess is that the term Gravity Knife Gay evolved from the term Longsword Lesbian, which stems from the original weapon community, the Battle Axe Bisexual community. I will be getting into those in the next few videos. Up next on the list is the Longsword Lesbian community, then the Battle Axe Bisexual community, and I will cover Trench Knife Trans and other things like that shortly after those. What about the present? What does the Gravity Knife Gay community represent today? And who perpetuates their opinion base? I am one of the few people in the community alive today to spread the word about Gravity Knife Gay beliefs. If you look it up on Tumblr, Twitter, or Instagram, you'll maybe have 3 or 4 people talking about it, and I'm probably one of them on each of the sites. Researching this video, I almost felt gaslit that maybe I created the term Gravity Knife Gay. But looking back, since there were posts on Twitter before I had even become involved in Discourse, I figured out that it ultimately was not me, but it was a pretty big trip for me. Honestly, I hyperventilated a little bit. I was a bit worried. Traces are found on Insta, Twitter, and Tumblr, so if you're looking for any kind of sources or ways to research Gravity Knife Gay beliefs, you should look on there. If you find any information, please come back to me, as I'm open to redoing all of my videos in the future if more information is provided. Remember to prevent the erasure of all marginalized identities, because you have no clue what types of oppressions they go through on a day-to-day basis. The lack of representation for gay men in media because we're not considered the safe gays. The extreme amount of laws against gay men in particular across the world is higher than some other groups that are also marginalized. but none of that gets recognized by the community, and we get told that we're all privileged because we're men, despite the clear and obvious examples of how we are oppressed. It's not the oppression Olympics, and we need people to stop trying to push us underneath the water, because we are trying to speak up against issues that we face in particular, and our voices are not being heard. What about opposition to gravity knife gay beliefs? What are some common counterpoints? Why don't you make your own label for men who are only attracted to men? In the past, we've done this. Labels like tautameric, nymphian, tauron-sexual exist. Nymphian and tautameric were both created by me to outline that we are gay and we don't believe that non-binary and bisexuals and women should be included in that label, and we wanted a space and label to identify ourselves as apart from what the gay label has become, so we can fight against the umbrellification of the gay label, but also have a place to fall back on if we disappear. Sadly, these labels have been met with aggression and anger and outrage from inclusionists online. They say because they were created from the intention of fighting erasure of gay men, based in the idea that non-binary gays contribute to the erasure of gay men. So they have decided that the labels are inherently bad. They say, use labels like Vincian, or is it pronounced Vincian? Or use the label tauron-sexual. However, tauron-sexual includes non-binary identities, and Vincian is just MLM. It's just Achillean. It's a synonym. It's not a synonym for gay because it includes bisexual men and it includes non-binary men. Every alternative they have ever given has not been exclusively for homosexual men. So their counterpoints are ultimately invalid in trying to form a compromise. Gay has always been an umbrella term for non-binary people. Non-binary people have always been included in gay. My response is, language for non-binary people hasn't always been around, not at least as long as the label gay has been around. And perhaps non-binary people used the label gay because they didn't have language to use then. But they have language now. They have language like virameric and feminameric, or trixic and tauric. And lesbians may have not had that language in the beginning, but they have had to fight to be recognized as a distinct community because they experience a distinct oppression from gay men in the past. We should not erase those actions by pushing them back into the gay community. And again, if the distinction between the L and the G was important enough to move the L in front of the G when the AIDS epidemic came around, then it's still important now, and we should uphold our differences while respecting each other and holding solidarity, instead of umbrellifying each other, because umbrellification of monosexual labels is erasure. The same thing can be said for bisexual gays. Bisexual wasn't always a label, but now it is, and now you have the language to describe yourself, and because language adapts and evolves, you have evolved new language that actually describes you more. Another counterpoint I see is that it's not important, and why are you prioritizing this? It seems like aimless gatekeeping and just being generally angry and upset for no reason. Well, if you have been pushed into an umbrella term as the sole identifier for yourself ever since you joined the community that's meant to be supportive of you, you start to feel less supported and less included in that community, as if you're only included in that community by proxy, despite the fact that the community was created by people like you, for people like you. By having others included in a label that was originally meant to describe us, it feels as if we are being excluded from the overall community. We should not have to reduce our identity to include other people. That is not fair. That is not cool. That is a microaggression towards gay men, rooted in the patriarchy since the beginning, and we will not stand for it. Yes, it's not a big deal, but there are a lot of little deals. And sometimes you have enough little deals build up that it's just not okay to stand for any deals anymore. We should be fighting against all aggressions against gay men, no matter how micro or how large. Just because one is important and one is less important doesn't mean that we should be sparing all of our energy towards importance, because we have more energy. It's not like we can't defend both. It's not like we can't argue against both. We should be shutting down all ideals that marginalize gay men by any standard. And the same can be said for lesbians, bisexuals, trans people, non-binary people. Alright, that concludes the video. Take care. I hope you enjoyed. I plan on making some more education on the Gravity Knife gay community since it is impossible to find anything on them. I've been trying to make a wiki on the LGBT community or the discourse community that isn't run by inclusionists. I've been attempting to do so on Wikidot, but I don't understand how to use the site. If anyone could help me there, it would be much appreciated. I have a Discord in the link tree below, in the comments section. It's my pinned comment. In there, I have a Discord for Gravity Knife Gay Solidarity. You don't have to be a Gravity Knife Gay to join. You just have to support the ideals of Gravity Knife Gays. You don't have to take it super seriously either. You just have to support it. You don't have to be entirely exclusionists. We're welcoming of neutralists or even inclusionists who hold Gravity Knife Gay beliefs. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I just want you to know, I love you.